And we are going in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, Coach Mark here. So what I've got for you today is I'm going to talk a little bit about 5 key lifts for the strongman athlete and strength standards for them in the off season. So you want to think of this as a video where the guidance is pertaining to when you're off of competition and you're just in more of a general developmental phase, right? While you do want to prioritize strength in a moderate range, we also want to make sure conditioning doesn't fall by the wayside, which is what one of these movements are going to be for. So again, there's 5 movements I'm going to be talking about today and strength standards that'll help you out in terms of what you should be trying to chase down relative to your max on the indicator lift. And for reference, I'm actually going to include my own numbers and where I'm at relative to these metrics. So first and foremost, the Romanian deadlift. Long-term goal here is you should be aiming for 75 to 85% of your best deadlift from the floor for a set of 5 to 8. So for myself, as someone who can pull 635 from the ground raw, I want to be able to do 475 to 540 for a set of 5 to 8 on the RDL, and I'd honestly wager I'm pretty close to this one. And the reason I say that is I've done 500 for 10 from the floor touch and go style, and when I do my higher rep deadlift sets, I tend to kind of turn it into a bit of an RDL because I find I can cycle the reps more efficiently. So I'd wager I'm probably pretty good here. And, with the RDL, right, you're taking it usually from the rack, and you don't have to go all the way down. You want to think just shoving the hips back, right? Your knees are bent, though it is not a straight leg deadlift. Now, if you're below this metric, it's very likely hamstring or hinge mechanics that are holding back your deadlift, so the RDL is going to help ingrain and improve that pattern. And then also, if you are below the metric, that means you're probably going to have a harder time with stones and sandbags, especially getting that quality triple extension. Just improving your hinge mechanics does a lot of important things for helping develop you as a strongman athlete. Now, if you're above these metrics, obviously you're probably in a position where you can chase a higher 1RM on your deadlift. Additionally, consider building volume or even adding in pause work, doing these with a snatch grip. That's a really great variation, is the snatch grip RDL. Next up is the bent over row, and this can be done with either a trap bar or a barbell, whichever you prefer. And this isn't a strict bodybuilding style row. We want to use a little bit of leg drive, a little bit of body English here, because we're not so worried about the bottom of the movement as we are the mid-range and top end of the movement, right? Getting that overload on the upper back, getting the upper back and midline both absorbing and redirecting that force from the heavy rows. That's going to help with your moving event. It's going to help with your deadlift, and it gives you a good stable base to press from as well. So you want to aim for 55 to 65% of your best deadlift for a set of 5 to 8 on the row here. So for myself as a 635 deadlifter, that'd be 350 to 410 for a set of 5 to 8. Yeah, I'm probably at about half of these numbers, so I've got a lot of work to do there. So because I'm below this metric, what that means for me is my upper back and potentially my grip is likely holding back my capacity on loading events. And also, that lack of torso strength means I'm more likely to fold over in something like a farmer's walk, a yoke run, a Conan's wheel, or a heavy back squat. Now, if I'm above that number, well then, obviously the mid-back is really solid, so you could try adding in tempo work, you could do trap bars, you could even do something like rowing versus chains or bands for a unique bit of overload. Again though, if we're above these metrics, that means we're in a position where we could probably chase higher numbers on our main lifts. Strict log press. You want 70 to 85% of your log push press. Again, we're thinking 5 to 8 range on pretty much all these accessory movements here. So for myself, as someone who can push press 230, I'd want to be somewhere between 160 to 195 for sets of 5 to 8. And right now, I'm definitely on the lower end of that. 160 for 5 is something I'm capable of. But what that means for me is for my long-term development, I'm a little over-reliant on my leg drive. I've got weaker shoulders and tricep lockout. I could sit here, cope and see, and say, oh, I've got long arms, it's harder. And sure, it is. But at day's end, if I want to level up, these are the numbers I want to be chasing, so it's something to think about and reflect. Now, let's say, conversely, you're well above these numbers. That means your leg drive probably needs a bit more work to get better on the main lift that is the log. So you might add in stuff such as slow eccentrics on your dip phase, pause dips at the bottom, even practicing your leg drive on something like an axle, and then having that transfer over to the log would be a good bet in terms of getting better. 45-degree incline press, and this should usually be done to like a 1 or 2 board, like a shoulder saver if you have access to it. You want to be somewhere between 70 to 95% of your best log push press for a set of 5 to 8. So for myself, as a 230 logger, that's somewhere between 160 to 220 for a set of 5 to 8. I'll tell you, I'm not even close. I might be good for 160 for 5, but my most recent set on the incline press, I did 220 for a really hard single. I found my shoulder just wanted to shut down. So what that tells me is, okay, I've got a sticking point in the mid-range on the log, which certainly carries over. So doing some high volume work here just to build a wider base of muscle and work capacity is going to be something very valuable. Also doing stuff like trap 3 raises, doing more upper back rear delt work just to create a more stable shoulder is probably going to be my best bet, because that 45-degree incline really does expose unstable shoulders. Now, if you are above this metric, add in some chains. You could do a longer range of motion, such as using a regular bar rather than a shoulder saver or boards, or even a camber bar, depending on how your shoulders feel about it. And again, if you're well above this, you probably need to work on your rack position and leg drive mechanics with your log. The 20 rep squat will be our final movement today. You want to get to 1.5 body weight for a set of 20. So at one point, I was good for 315 for a set of 20. I did it once. Right now, I probably couldn't. I could probably get close, and that's just because I need to work my conditioning a little bit. Now, if you're below this metric, obviously work capacity, or it might just be a resilience thing, that kind of grit your teeth and get through it. You know, you had a hat and do, was it 600 for 20? So a lot of us could stand to push it a little bit, and I think that high rep work has a lot of value. Even though the sport generally is in the 5 to 12 range, shall we say, on reps, going above that is not a bad idea when you're deep in the off season, and a 20 rep squat has a lot of transference in terms of strongman conditioning just because of how gnarly it is. Now, if you're above it, obviously conditioning and grit, you're solid. You can probably chase some bigger numbers on your squat overall. Again, I like the 20 rep squat for strongman athletes. I think it's a good all-around developer. Ignore that. Now, as far as chasing these numbers, it's going to help you add quality, size, and strength in the offseason. It also helps expose weak links in your development. So, for example, for myself, right, I need to spend more volume and just overall time on upper body hypertrophy. You need to add some muscle mass. When you've got longer arms, that really is the best path forward. You can technique, but at day's end, you just need to add more muscle mass to increase your strength potential. Now, conversely, on the deadlift side of things, I probably need to spend more time on general development rather than the actual deadlift if I want to chase down 675 to 700. Whereas, you know, if my metrics were different, maybe I just needed more skill in the deadlift, but I don't need more skill right there. I need more overall strength, especially, say, on the row, which tracks with my experience with the deadlift, and when I do start getting stuck, it's my back. I need to get my back stronger outside of just the deadlift because the skill element is present. But yeah, that's just a kind of a quick overview on some good accessory movements. And then tomorrow I'll be dropping a longer form video with kind of the 20, in my opinion, best overall exercises a strongman athlete can do for their long-term development. It's kind of like, go with this menu and the odds are good. You can build a really good program. But anyways, I hope you folks found this helpful. If you have any comments or questions, hit me down in the comments section below. Best ones are ones I will turn into videos down the road, but I will catch you folks next time.